Hello everyone, welcome to my second journal with me. Today I'm going to use this junk journal regular size. I'm going to use these white pages because the junk journal has many other color pages and I want to contrast. I'm going to start with a faux postcard. I'm going to use this coffee paper and I need to cut that in the size of my pages. So I like the effect of this junk journal, of this coffee paper because the edges are really dark and I think it was a good one of my favorite pages. I have a lot of them and I think this is too small and I'm gonna cut another one that is a little bit wider. So I think this one is perfect and I'm gonna cut to the other side and that is it. So now I'm gonna stamp the postcard stamp here, and I also want to rip the edges, but not right now. I want to start with the stamping. For this project, I need to use stamp, stencil, and a lot of ink. So I'm gonna stamp this first with distress ink here, and then the next step is like stamping words, stamping probably a plant. Let me see if I can find a plant here. Maybe a stencil too, but for plant, this one I think it's too much. Let me check the stencil here. Um, Here is a stencil. I don't like very much this one. Maybe another one. Have another one. Maybe I'm gonna rip the edges first. I think using the hand is the best way to me because sometimes I like using rulers to cut up paper, but that that helps when it's big pieces of paper. But when you already have something that is cut in the size that you want, then hands are better to me. At least to me, they are. And um, so I'm gonna use a stencil here just to add a little bit of color besides the brown ink. And no matter how vibrant is the color of your stencil, because you're gonna add some brown after that, it will look a lot better. So I'm gonna use some red here. I like this stencil. It's a lot better than the other one. So I'm gonna use this um, ink from Stampin' Up. I really don't know the color. I can check it out later. I usually don't link many of my materials because I get them from Tuesday Morning or Michaels and stuff like that. So I really don't have many links. I go directly in old-fashioned way to get my materials, unless I get them from online store. That is very unusual. But anyways, so after that, I'm gonna stamp words and a plant here, and I think this plant and these words are good. So I'm gonna use my other ink that is more simple, like I guess, and this stamp I got from my mother-in-law. They are really good. There's a phrase in French, so try to do it kind of noticeable, and then the plant in the top of that. And now I'm gonna use a lot of ink to darker not only the page. I'm gonna use this brush that I have here. It's really neat. I got this in a store. I usually clean it up every time I use that because this was red. Now I'm gonna use this brown. So you have this one. I'm gonna start like to the edges, but also in the middle you will need a little bit more. And I think this is coming out better. Can you see that? It just looks better. It looks more vintage. And now I'm gonna use a little bit more distress ink to go to the edges just so it looks even older. And today I really want to use a technique that I learned from G Care. I hope that her name is pronounced that way. But I'm definitely gonna link her YouTube video, her YouTube channel here. So I'm gonna use gesso, this acrylic gesso, and it's very wonderful. You will see the effect. It's just like the paper that I have here. It looks good to me, but it will look even better with gesso. let me show you. Just go ahead and put that wherever you want or where you feel like. Sometimes it will look a little bit whiter in some places, but don't worry, because once it's dry, it will look just so beautiful. It looks like a little bit more vintage. Like, I don't know how to explain, but it looks pretty. So I'm gonna use that here everywhere, and I think that it's enough. Maybe, yeah. I like how it looks like, and I'm gonna add that to my journal. As I said, I choose to use some white pages because I want this to pop up. I'm gonna put this away, and I'm gonna get my insert here, and here it is, and I think that I like how it looks like. And now I'm gonna use some dry flowers here. But first I want to stamp this postcard because it doesn't look so clearly here. So I'm gonna stamp in the top of that again. And here it is. I think it looks more clear now. And now I'm gonna use this this dry flower here. I have a couple that can work out, so I think that this one is too big. I mean, the flower is too big. Maybe this one will work just fine. I think this one is better. It's in color purple. That combines with my red background, so I'm gonna use that one. And I'm gonna paste this. I think it looks good. Sometimes the stamp of the flower is like a little bit too thick, so you need to use some washi tape or whatever besides the glue that you put in your flower. Sometimes I use wax seal, but because it looks this page is going to look just with too many things, then I'm gonna use washi tape instead. And as I said, I got some Tim Holtz last time in Christmas. They are very basic and very useful, and I think that they're like, I don't know, they are just perfect for any project. I really like working with vintage, so these are just perfect. I'm gonna cut this red one a little bit, and I think it will work out. And I like how it looks like. Now to the other side of the page, I really want to do an envelope. I found like a piece of a magazine the other day that has roses on it, and I was thinking from the beginning that I wanted to use that in my journal. This is a magazine that I found that it had like design and selling, stuff like couches and stuff like that. And I decided to cut it up and use that for my journal. So what I do is I just fold into, I decide which one I want it to be like the main part, and then I decide to fold that in twice, and from there, like I will cut it up, one of the sides smaller than the other one, and then I'm gonna use my paper cutter. So the first thing that I have to do is cut small enough that fits my page, and I'm going to go both sides. And so I think it looks right. Let me check it out. Yeah, it does. So now I'm gonna decide how big I want the lid to be. So I think that this one yeah, this one should be the one. So I'm gonna use this bone to make a score here. So I'm gonna go with 3 centimeters maybe. And once I score that, I'm gonna cut the same measurement, but in the other way in the other side of my paper, so it fits perfectly to make an envelope. See, it fits perfectly now. Now, what I need to do is just I, I need to decide how I'm gonna cut these. I think that in the lid you can put like a 1 point in the middle and cut it up, but it doesn't quite. I don't like it. I think I'm gonna do with 2 points. So to do that, I just cut like 1 or 2 centimeters in the sides, and then cut that from the other side. And I think I'm gonna do that, 1.5 centimeters each side, and then cut from from the place where it's the skirt, like kind of in a line, like that. And I like that. So I'm gonna ink this because, as you can see, there is not much contrast. It just looks like a big piece of paper. But once you use this distress ink, it's more noticeable where are the falling parts and the places where you wanna, you know, highlight. So it looks pretty like that. You have to ink all the way to all the envelope. Maybe you already know that, but I just kept saying that because when I began journaling, I didn't know anything at all. So I'm gonna cut a little bit of the edges because they are too pointed and I don't like them. And so now I'm gonna add a little bit more of this distress ink, and I need to paste the envelope. I'm not going to do like so much here, besides maybe this one will work out so well that it's some cut out. I don't like that one. I think this one is good. I'm so sorry for the noise in the background. My baby is playing with his dad and they're like always a little bit noisy, and they help me to record this video, so it's good. So I'm gonna use this liquid glue just because it's finer, the line that I can draw with this. And as I said, I don't want to do the big worker cutting smaller pieces to paste in the other side of the envelope, so I'm gonna do that. This is easier and faster. And while that is drying, I'm gonna paste this die cut also with this applicator that I have. It's really easy. I like using cutouts a lot, and I made a lot for my personal use. Once I came back from Peru, I just had a non-stop of crafting with supplies. I really don't even know why. But now that is kind of dry, I should paste this in the page. I'm not going to use like too much paper in the background, but I want to add some stamps. And because I have too much, maybe this stamp, but because I have too much pink and brown, I'm gonna like use some maybe these stamps to make the colors more I don't know, more balanced. So maybe this red one will help out a little bit more. But I also think that uh, maybe some green will help me out. But for now, I think that this red looks good. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but if you do, you know that I love making for stamps. And so the last one that I made is this color, full color postcards. My husband made a machine for me, and it's hole puncher. It doesn't work all the way. Sometimes it doesn't work at all. I messed up a lot. But this one worked perfectly, and I really love that. And maybe I can use this one too, but it's too brown. I need something else. Maybe here. So, I don't know. So I think I'm gonna use some stamps here, plants. So I have two greens here, but before I put that in my journal, I'm gonna use this paper to test how they look like. This one is too light, the other one is too dark. So sometimes a good idea is just combine them both. And I think that I'm gonna combine them, and I think it'll look good. Sorry, I had to go for a second with my baby, and now I'm back, and now I'm gonna stamp the things that I told you. I'm gonna combine the two colors of the stamp. I'm gonna start with the lighter one, and then I'm going to go to the darker one, so the green that I want just show up. See, the color is a little bit not too dark, not too bright, so it's just perfect. So I'm gonna use this other stamp. I really love this stamp. I think I don't use that enough. I love how it looks like. You can make your own plant. You can make like as many leaves as you want. So just go ahead and put that everywhere and get crazy. I love doing that. I really do. I don't want to do in the middle of the fall postcard because I want it to pop up, and then but I'm going to do that in the other page too because I really love it. I'm gonna use this other stamp, and I have another leaf here that I want to use too, just because I never used that before, and I think that this one is good. And maybe no, oh, maybe here. Sometimes I am very like I can make a decision. So I think this one here will look just fine. Yeah. Some stamps like don't have like very well defined things. This one looks just right. And I think I might choose some more of this my favorite stamp here. And I think it's just looks so fine. I like using that stamp. It's one of my very favorites. So now I'm gonna paste this, and I have a pocket inside, so I can put a journal card there, or I can write whatever I want. I can write a letter for myself or whatever you decide to do. I like using a lot of envelopes in my journals. And I'm gonna show the back because that's the one that I worked. I like showing the lid and the back of the envelope. It looks fine, and I think I'm ready to write here. So I don't know how you feel, but lately I have been suffering a lot for. I'm training my baby to sleep. I don't know if it's the right thing to do. So for my journaling card, I'm going to do I'm going to do this page, and I'm gonna cut like a square there so it fits in my envelope, and I'm gonna do this here. Use my paper cutter, and there you go. Maybe it's too big. Maybe it's too big. Yeah, it looks a little bit. Let me try. I think it's too big, so I'm gonna cut this a little bit because there's some easy paper in the background. I can cut the back and just check it out. I think it looks good now. So I'm gonna try to put that in the envelope, and it looks fine. So I'm gonna maybe cut a little bit more just because it was hard to put that inside. I think now should be perfect. Yeah, it does. It does look good. So now I'm gonna write here. So it's hard to put the paper clip sometimes when your journal is just too full. So I was telling you. So I was telling you. It's so hard for me lately to deal with my baby. He is a little bit more fussy because I was training him to sleep. It's a lot older than regular babies going back to sleep alone. I mean, he sleeps in his crib, but he was for many months really sick, and he was sleeping with me most of the time, and I pick him up like every time he would cry just because he was in pain. And then when he was better and he wasn't sick anymore, I just kept picking him up. Every time he would wake up, I never let him go back sleep by himself. And many people don't agree with that. So the people think that you should go and pick him up every time he cries. But I just feel so tired, and I think that it's the moment when he actually has to sleep by his own. So I'm leaving him there, and I'm suffering a lot for that. And because every time he cries, I suffer. I sleep still in the same room with him, but he's like there crying, and I just sometimes cry too. So it's hard. So I'm gonna write about that in my journal. It's really hard, and it's something that I wanna keep a record of, just because sometimes even the saddest things that you have to do or the hard things that you have to do, just being in your journal, by writing about that, help you out to feel better about that. So anyways, that's it. I want to write something else in this card that I made for this envelope, and it's about that too. And like I'm gonna use that phrase that nobody can suffer for 100 years, and there is nobody that can resist that. I don't know if you see that in English like that, but in Spanish it has a meaning. So I'm suffering, he's suffering, so but I think that we both will be good now. Thank you so much for watching, and